Hi, my name's Quint Studer. I'm the founder of the Studer Group. I was the Chief Executive Officer, and about 2 years ago I stepped away from that, though I do get very involved in many programs. A little bit about me. I was president of a hospital, and we did quite well, and I formed my own company. We won the Malcolm Baldrige Award, which is a pretty good award in 2010 for our quality. We've grown significantly over the years. We have a great place to work. We're number 7th in the country in Fortune magazine. I also own a minor league baseball team, the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, a AA affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds. We again were organization of the year there in minor league baseball. So there's many organizations that we work with and try to drive. So it's exciting to be in front of you, and I thank you for the opportunity. If you want to, you can go to our website at www.studergroup.com, and you can read all sorts of things that I think are good for you. Our vision statement, and the vision statement I wrote when we first started the company, which still exists, is we want to really be an organization that maximizes human potential. To give people those questions, those answers, that can answer those questions, give them those answers, tools and tactics for them to maximize their own human potential. Because it's only by maximizing our own human potential can we maximize others' human potential. So like being in an airplane, if you're in an airplane and you're with other people and you're in some tragic situation and the oxygen masks come down, the first thing to do is tell you to put your own oxygen mask on. That's not because they're trying to be self-centered. It's because they're actually trying to make sure that you can get healthy enough to help others. First question is, what advice would you give a student about choosing his career path? Go with what you're passionate about. And I truly mean that. There's a lot of pressure on people, go here, go here. For example, I was talking to a lady the other day, and she really wanted about a year ago actually, her son was going to college, she wanted him to be an attorney. But he didn't want to be an attorney. He wants to be in sports management. And now nothing wrong with either one, but you go with your passion. And let me explain why I say that. Because if you're passionate about something, you'll go through the difficult times. If you're not passionate about it, when you hit a bump, you go through a difficult time, you'll exit out. And in order to become good at something, you have to go through the bumps that it takes. And if you're not passionate about it, you won't go through those bumps. So my #1 recommendation to everyone is pick something you're passionate about. And if you do, I believe the rest of it takes care of itself. Because if you're passionate about something, you'll go through the tough times. I started out as a special education teacher. I was passionate about working with people with special needs. Now, there were some courses in college I was, awful with. And I just wasn't interested in them. I had no desire to ever do it, but I had to take these classes. Well, the reason I took these classes, because I had to graduate, but why? Because I wanted to teach children with special needs. So if you're passionate about something, you go through the difficult times to get good at it, that frequency. So my #1 recommendation to anyone in choosing a career path is choose something you're passionate about. The question I get is, what do graduates need to know that they might not get in college? Well, for many things, first of all, what you get in college is not based on experience. So first of all, it's going to take a lot of experience. And I think the other thing is you're going to go through different phases of your development. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you look at Maslow's theory of development, there's 4 phases you go through. And the first phase is they call unconsciously unskilled. So we don't know what we don't know. So when you come out, we think we know more than we know. And this is even if you're older and you go to that new job. So the hardest part about what you don't know is when you get to any place, you're going to go through this phase 2 of personal development called consciously unskilled. Now, 27% of people that quit their job quit within the first 90 days. 50% don't make it a year. And the reason is because when they get to that consciously unskilled, they don't share it. It's internal, and they start thinking, I think I made a mistake. This isn't the right job. I'm not going to make it, so we run. Happened to me. I'm a brand new teacher. I'm excited. My student taught, always had a teacher with me. My first day in the classroom, I have a young man named Wayne, and he comes in and he sits down. School starts at 8 o'clock, and 7:30, he's sitting there in my special education at the time classroom. And I'm talking to Wayne, and you know, we're talking, and all of a sudden at 8 o'clock the bell rings and every other student is in there. Wayne gets up and runs out. Now I've been teaching now less than 10 seconds and I'm in a situation I don't know how to handle. If they didn't have all these cell phones and all that, then if I run to get Wayne, I leave my classroom unattended. But if I stay in my classroom, I got Wayne who just took off and I don't know what's going on. I went from unconsciously unskilled to consciously unskilled in almost 10 seconds. I know how to handle things. The thing you might not be prepared for is you're going to go through phases. By the way, how do you go from consciously unskilled to consciously skilled? Be courageous enough to tell people what you don't know and ask for their help. Do the things that are uncomfortable frequently enough to get good with it. Realize that your feelings are normal, they're not abnormal. So instead of being ashamed or embarrassed that you're realizing you don't know some things, be grateful you've actually advanced to that spot, because it's only by knowing what we don't know can we learn what we do know. So the third phase of personal development is consciously skilled. It means now we're getting instruction, we've found mentors, we found people to teach, we've read books, we watch videos like this, and we say, okay, in order to get better, I've got to learn how to handle these situations. Then by frequently, we now have to study it, we become consciously skilled. And if we do it over and over and over again, then we become unconsciously skilled, which means we can now be more productive because we handle more things. So that's what I learned, that it's normal to get out of college and all of a sudden say, oh my gosh. But that's normal. Don't worry about it. Just say, okay, this is a normal feeling. I've got to now work through it. It's sort of like running a race when you hit that wall. Instead of panicking, saying, I've run long enough to hit that wall, which is good. Now, what did they tell me to do once I hit that wall? We're all going to hit walls in life, whether it's professionally or personally. We have to be able to handle the frustration and at times handle the failure. But it doesn't mean you fail if you learn from it. What I would have done differently when I prepared for my career, is I would have been more willing to be open about what I was scared about, what I didn't know, and so on. Because I didn't want to look stupid. So I didn't want to go down to the teacher's lounge when I was teaching and say, hey, I don't know this. When I got into healthcare, I think I was afraid to let people know what I didn't know. It took me a long time. I think I was actually in my early 40s, not to panic you, before I really got this. And explanation, I'm chief operating officer of a hospital, and I'm brand new there. And I'd been at the last place for 6.5 years, and I really knew the last place. I was a vice president, and now I'm the COO, and all of a sudden I'm in this new job in this new town, and I thought it was going to be easy, and it was hard. I didn't know even how the phone system worked, who to call. I just felt like I didn't belong. And one day the CO's in his office next to me, he's talking to some other executives in the organization. They're laughing, they're joking. And at the time I'm commuting back to Wisconsin, about 2.5-hour drive on weekends because we hadn't moved to Chicago yet. And I'm thinking like I don't belong. And I'm comparing my insides to their outsides. And so I went in and I thought I'd go in and tell him I'm leaving now, and he would say to me, hey, sit down, have a cup of coffee, we're just talking. Because I want to be part of, but I didn't know how to say that because I was embarrassed. So I went in and said, Mark, I'll be going home now. And Mark said, have a good weekend and drive home carefully. He didn't mean to say he said the right things, but you know what I heard? You don't belong. You don't fit in. He didn't say it, but see, I went in with that. So I got in my car and I'm driving and I'm thinking, I'm quitting, I'm not going back, I'm taking my old job back, because I got scared. So I called a friend of mine and he said, how's it going? I said, I'm going to quit. And he said, oh my gosh, what happened? And I said, well, I went in and told my boss I'm going home for the weekend, and he said, drive home carefully and have a good weekend. And there was complete silence on the other end of the phone. And I could tell he's probably thinking, oh my gosh, what a nut job this guy is. But when I said it out loud, I even laughed at it. So sometimes what happens is we play our tape to ourselves, and things that don't make sense start making sense. Irrational thoughts we start rationalizing them. So my main thing I would have done differently has been much more open about sharing my concerns, my fears, my sensitivity, because I was scared. And if I went in and said, you know, Mark, I'm really struggling here, I don't feel part of, I know it's probably me, Can you give me some suggestions? But I didn't know how to do that. So from then on, every orientation class I ever talk to, I talk about, you got to share your insights. You got to share what you're going through. I had a nurse one time at the hospital in orientation tell me she was quitting, and I asked her why she was quitting, and she said she wasn't going to make it. And I said, how do you know you're not going to make it? And she told me the story, and we went back to where she was in training, and they didn't understand why she would think that, but she was. So we got it back together. So the big lesson I would learn is be much more open about what's going on the inside, because people want you to be successful. They want to help you. I used to use the comparison as this, and I haven't told the story for years. If I go up and I'm golfing, and which, by the way, I don't golf, but I've learned a little bit about it, and if I went up and I basically put the ball down and I swung and I wasn't very good, but I acted like I really knew what I was doing, I doubt if people would say, hey, here's a tip for you, because I'm acting like I'm not teachable. But if I went up and said, hey guys, if you don't mind, there's a lot of mistakes I probably make golfing. So if you can watch my swing, if you see anything I can improve on, gosh, I'm open. I'd appreciate if you let me know. Now I'm opening myself up to be taught. So you know what they say? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. So if you're a student outside, we're always a student of life, and you're ready, the teacher will appear. If I'm looking at what you would want someone to do to prepare themselves, and once you graduate, you come in to prepare you for a career, it's don't worry about the dollars, worry about the skill set. I sometimes see so many people that are worried about what am I going to make and what my title's going to be, and they might make a little bit more and have a better title, but it catches up to them because they don't build their skill set. So the way I believe you need to do is always look at, you're a product and you're creating your skill set. So don't be afraid early on in your career to take on tasks, take on jobs that might not be perfect for you, but they will build your skill set up. Because that's really what you're doing. You're helping your skill set, and you're being a more well-rounded professional. So I would say don't worry about becoming a specialist too soon, and truly look for things that you can put yourself into that you can learn. For example, one of the great challenges if you're going to grow a career is sometimes having people do what you'd like them to do. So people say, well, they don't report to me. Well, but see, if you wait for people to report to you to be able to influence people, no one's ever going to promote you to have people report to you. So take on tasks where you're forced to get people to work with people that are maybe your peers, and get them to work on a task where you align everyone's behavior to achieve a certain outcome, even when they don't report to you. Because you're going to have to use things like persuasion, reward and recognition, sometimes critical conversations, data, analytics, timelines. And what you learn then to do is to be a leader. And if you can lead people that don't report to you, think how great you'll be leading people that do report to you. So that would be one of my tips. Take on tasks where you have to get a project done with people that don't report to you, or even put yourself in a position where you're just part of the team instead of leading the team, because that'll help you realize what leadership is all about.